Global debt has soared past $300 trillion, inflation is wreaking havoc, and central banks are trapped in a lose-lose game. Ray Dalio, one of the most respected voices in finance, warns, this isn't just an economic downturn, it's a paradigm shift. The system is breaking, and the cracks are widening faster than anyone expected. If you think we'll return to normal, you're in for a shock. What's coming could reshape how we live, work, and survive. Will you adapt or be left behind? Let's break down what's happening and, more importantly, how you can prepare. Ray Dalio warns that we're not just facing isolated issues, but a convergence of 5 transformative forces reshaping the world. These forces, deeply interconnected, are accelerating a global crisis that threatens to upend economies, societies, and the balance of power. Understanding these forces is crucial to navigating what lies ahead. The United States is drowning in debt, with a staggering $35 trillion owed at the federal level alone. Rising interest rates are making this debt more expensive to service, leaving both governments and households financially strained. Ray Dalio highlights how this creates a dangerous spiral. When borrowing becomes unsustainable, the system starts to unravel. This isn't just a government problem, it's one that affects ordinary Americans directly. Inflation, which remains stubbornly high at over 5%, is eroding the purchasing power of everyday savings. For those relying on fixed incomes or traditional savings, the consequences are devastating. As Dalio puts it, holding cash is like holding a melting ice cube. It loses value every day. This erosion of currency value destabilizes families, businesses, and entire economies, making even basic necessities harder to afford. America is more divided than ever, with growing wealth gaps and political polarization tearing at the nation's social fabric. The wealthiest 1% now control more wealth than the bottom 90%, creating resentment and fueling unrest. This disparity isn't just about money, it's about opportunity and fairness. The middle class, once the backbone of the US economy, is shrinking, leaving behind a fragmented society. Political gridlock only adds to the frustration. As Dalio warns, when the system is more important than the people, revolutions happen. And when compromise disappears, collapse becomes inevitable. These divisions weaken the nation's ability to tackle its most pressing challenges, leaving the economy vulnerable to further shocks. Social cohesion is deteriorating, and with it, the trust that holds communities and economies together. The world is no longer dominated by a single superpower. The United States, which has led the global order for decades, now faces significant challenges from rising powers like China. China's rapid advancements in technology, trade, and military strength have positioned it as a formidable rival. At the same time, alliances between nations like Russia and India are reshaping the geopolitical landscape, leaving the US in a more precarious position. Dalio explains this shift in stark terms. Wars don't just happen with bullets, they happen with trade, sanctions, and influence. The global power balance is shifting, and the US is losing ground. These changes are more than just political. They have economic consequences that could reshape industries, trade, and the opportunities available to everyday Americans. Natural disasters and pandemics are no longer rare occurrences. They're becoming a regular part of life. The COVID-19 pandemic showed how quickly economies can grind to a halt, with supply chains breaking down and entire industries struggling to recover. Climate-related disasters, from wildfires to hurricanes, are costing billions in damages every year, putting immense pressure on already strained systems. Dalio points to history as a guide. Throughout history, acts of nature have killed more people and toppled more empires than any war or economic collapse. These events highlight the fragility of our modern systems and underscore the need for resilience in the face of an uncertain future. Technology is advancing faster than society can adapt, creating opportunities and risks in equal measure. Innovations like AI and automation are transforming industries, but they're also displacing millions of workers. Jobs that were once secure are now vulnerable, and entire sectors are being reshaped by new technologies. The rise of cybersecurity threats and digital warfare adds another layer of risk as governments and businesses struggle to protect critical infrastructure. Dalio captures the dual nature of technology with precision. Technology can be our greatest ally or our greatest enemy. It depends on how we use it. While innovation offers incredible possibilities, it also demands caution, foresight, and adaptability to avoid becoming a force of disruption and inequality. If you found value in this video, giving it a like helps us immensely. We appreciate your support. Now let's dive deeper. The challenges we face today aren't just isolated crises. They're deeply interconnected forces feeding off one another, creating a storm far more destructive than a typical recession. These forces amplify each other's impacts, intensifying economic, social, and geopolitical instability. Understanding how they converge is key to grasping why the coming turmoil is unlike anything we've seen before. Ray Dalio warns that we are entering a period of stagflation, a dangerous economic condition where inflation stays persistently high, but economic growth slows to a near standstill. This combination leaves businesses, workers, and governments trapped in a cycle of financial strain. Rising costs are eating into corporate profits, forcing companies to cut back on hiring or even lay off workers, further weakening economic growth. Meanwhile, wages are failing to keep pace with inflation, leaving millions of Americans struggling to afford everyday necessities like groceries, gas, and housing. Dalio likens this situation to being caught in quicksand. Stagflation is like quicksand. It traps everyone and makes it nearly impossible to move forward. This economic stagnation creates a ripple effect, sapping the energy and optimism out of households and businesses alike. Billionaire Warren Buffett adds, "Inflation swindles almost everybody. It's an invisible tax on savers, workers, and investors. The economic pressure builds on all fronts, eroding financial stability and deepening frustrations." The competition for vital resources is intensifying, driven by conflicts like the war in Ukraine and rising tensions over Taiwan. These geopolitical crises are wreaking havoc on global supply chains, driving up the cost of essentials like food and energy. Wheat prices, for example, have surged by 14% over the past year as Ukraine, a major global supplier, struggles to maintain its exports. Energy markets remain volatile, with oil prices swinging wildly, further destabilizing economies dependent on imported fuels. The scramble for rare earth minerals, critical for technologies like electric vehicles, smartphones, and military hardware, is adding to the pressure. Nations are weaponizing these resources in geopolitical disputes, forcing countries to rethink their reliance on foreign supplies. Ray Dalio starkly warns, when nations fight over resources, it's not just about scarcity, it's about survival. This global tug-of-war over resources exacerbates inflation and creates uncertainty in markets, leaving businesses and consumers to bear the brunt of the fallout. Elon Musk echoes this sentiment, saying, "We're heading into a resource bottleneck that could redefine global priorities and economies." Faith in traditional institutions, governments, central banks, and financial systems is crumbling. As economic challenges mount, many Americans feel abandoned by the very systems meant to protect them. The Federal Reserve's efforts to curb inflation by raising interest rates have had limited success, and trust in fiat currencies like the US dollar is eroding. This erosion is reflected in the sharp rise in gold prices, up 20% in the last year, as people seek refuge in assets they perceive as safer. Cryptocurrencies, once heralded as the future of money, are gaining traction as alternatives to traditional currencies. However, their volatility and lack of regulation present their own risks. Dalio cautions, when trust erodes, the system crumbles. People look for anything that feels secure, even if it's not. The decline in confidence in institutions is not just an economic problem, it's a societal one, shaking the foundations of stability and creating fertile ground for unrest. Bill Gates aptly summarizes the challenge. Technology moves fast, but progress is uneven. If we don't invest in people, we risk leaving entire societies behind. This decline in productivity is more than an economic statistic. It's a warning sign of deeper structural issues that must be addressed to create a stable and thriving economy. Ray Dalio's insights don't end with identifying the challenges ahead. He also provides practical guidance on how to navigate these turbulent times. His strategies focus on protecting your financial future, adapting to change, and building resilience against uncertainty. By understanding his blueprint, you can turn the looming storm into an opportunity to safeguard your assets and thrive in the new economic landscape. Ray Dalio has always emphasized the importance of diversification, calling it the best way to reduce risk without sacrificing returns. In times of uncertainty, having a well-diversified portfolio is crucial. This means spreading your investments across different asset classes such as stocks, real estate, commodities, and inflation-resistant assets like gold. By doing this, you're not overly reliant on any single market or sector, which can collapse during turbulent times. Dalio also recommends considering international diversification to protect against regional risks. The US economy, while still a global powerhouse, is no longer immune to the ripple effects of geopolitical shifts and financial instability abroad. You don't want your fortunes tied to one country or one system, he explains. A diverse portfolio acts as a buffer, allowing you to weather downturns while maintaining growth opportunities. In an era where cash loses value to inflation and trust in paper assets dwindles, owning tangible assets becomes more important than ever. Real estate, commodities like gold, and other physical investments tend to retain their value even during economic downturns. Dalio advises, own things that governments can't print. These are your lifeboats in a sinking system. Tangible assets provide a sense of security because they are not tied to the volatility of financial markets. Gold, for instance, has historically been a safe haven during times of crisis. Elon Musk echoes this sentiment, saying, "In uncertain times, hard assets provide stability that paper assets simply can't." Whether it's land, precious metals, or other resources, these investments are less vulnerable to the systemic risks affecting fiat currencies and financial instruments. One of Dalio's most practical pieces of advice is to ensure you have a financial buffer to protect yourself during economic storms. He recommends having enough savings to cover at least 6 months of expenses. This safety net provides breathing room, giving you the flexibility to navigate challenges without resorting to high-interest debt. Debt, especially at high interest rates, becomes even more burdensome during economic downturns. The Federal Reserve's tightening policies are making borrowing costs soar, leaving those with significant debt vulnerable to financial ruin. Dalio explains, freedom comes from having enough to weather the storm without being shackled by obligations you can't meet. Having a safety net isn't just about money, it's about peace of mind and resilience during tough times. Dalio believes that understanding the mechanics of the system is one of the most powerful tools you can have. The more you understand how the system works, the better you'll navigate it, he says. Knowledge allows you to anticipate changes and adapt quickly, whether it's shifts in the job market, geopolitical events, or financial trends. Learning about economic cycles, global power dynamics, and how different assets perform in times of volatility is crucial. For example, understanding how inflation impacts various investments can help you adjust your portfolio before it's too late. Warren Buffett underscores the value of education, saying, "The best investment you can make is in yourself. Nobody can take that away from you." Flexibility is equally important. Strategies that worked in the past may no longer be effective in a rapidly changing world. Staying open to new ideas and being willing to pivot when necessary can make all the difference between surviving and thriving during economic turmoil. The world is changing rapidly, and those who adapt will find opportunities even amidst chaos. Dalio reminds us, history is a cycle. Those who prepare for the storm don't just survive, they thrive. This is your chance to turn awareness into action. By understanding the forces at play, making informed decisions, and staying proactive, you can protect your future and find stability in uncertain times. The greatest mistake you can make is to believe the past will continue as it has. The only constant is change, Dalio reminds us. The question is, are you ready to embrace that change and secure your place in the new world that's emerging? Let us know in the comments. What steps are you taking to prepare for what's ahead? If you found this video insightful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on critical updates. Curious about the retail shakeup? Why are Walmart and other major retailers canceling billions of orders? Watch it to uncover how global shifts impact you. Stay informed and prepared. See you next time.